Today in the healthcare industry, there are thousands of robots, and they are performing prostatectomies and hysterectomies, but the number of robots is doubling every year. So what that means is we're going to see a 1,000-fold increase. We're going to go from thousands of robots to millions of robots, and they're going to start performing knee surgery, heart surgery, potentially even brain surgery. The reason this matters to you is that the incisions are now so precise that you can get in and out of the hospital sometimes up to a week quicker because of this technology. Now, a lot of people will tend to dismiss some of my technologies. And you know what? Some of the technologies I'm telling you about aren't going to be perfect today, but here's an analogy from history. 10 years ago, e-books were big, fat, and clunky and didn't work. 7 years ago, they were slightly less big, but they still didn't work. It was only 3 years ago that a number of providers finally got it right. And today, less than 3 years later, we now sell more books electronically than we do real books. Change happens, and change can happen very fast when a technology is growing exponentially. This leads us to trend number 5, and there's something called radio frequency identification technology or sensor technology. Today, hospitals are employing millions of these sensors, but the number doubling every year, so we're going to go from millions of these sensors to billions of them. And today we're using them in hospitals to track inventory and to track biopsies and other things like that, but the technology is getting better, faster, and cheaper, and they're starting to go on the caps of pill bottles. We know in the healthcare industry that because people don't take their medication properly, that's costing the US healthcare system $290 billion. But as this technology continues to get better, we have an opportunity to significantly address that issue. This trend, number 6, is another 1,000-fold increase, and it's the whole field of genomics. Today, we are sequencing billions of genes in a couple of minutes. Well, this technology is doubling every 4 years, and we're soon going to be sequencing trillions of genes in the blink of an eye. And here's how I want you to think about this. If you wanted to have your genome sequenced just 3 years ago, it would have cost you $70 million. Not very practical. 2009, dropped to $1 million. Still not practical. 2010, 60,000. Today, 10,000. Next year, 1,000, and then below that. What this means is we're going to know so much about your individual genome that it is going to profoundly change healthcare because it's going to allow for personalized medicine. We now know that there are over 1,000 genetic tests that if you have a particular gene, we know a significantly better way to treat you. And this revolution is steamrolling down upon us, and it's incumbent upon all of us to understand its implications. The last trend that's going to undergo a 1,000-fold increase is the whole field of computers. We now have computers that can perform 1 quadrillion calculations per second. This is a mind-boggling number, but here's what you need to know, is that these computers can now access 200 million pages of medical information in 3 seconds. And just a month ago, a health insurer has now hired this computer to do what? To help doctors and insurance companies and hospitals better diagnose disease. Now, I don't want to mislead anyone to say these devices are going to put doctors and nurses out of work. That's not going to happen. But if this equipment can better and more quickly and more accurately diagnose disease, let's allow the machine to do it. That then gives the healthcare provider more time to spend with